the first prime minister to make that trip. Proud history to continue an incredible legacy for India and its people, but also for the world.
Hello and welcome. I'm Nagin Singh and this is One India. Today we have been connected with Vlada Galan and she will speak about the recent trip that Prime Minister Narendra Modi made to Ukraine and to Russia, where he met his close friend Putin. Now, the question is how this trip will impact the war, what will be the benefits that India will have, or the Russia or Ukraine will have, and how US thinks about this trip. My first question to you is that PM Modi traveled to both the places. Of course, US has reacted to it as well. But what do you see the complete impact, the overall impact of this tour that he has made to Russia and Ukraine, both? How the West sees it, and what will be their reaction after this?
The West is very supportive of this due to the fact that it has been multiple years of this ongoing conflict. In fact, this coming February marks the third-year anniversary of the start of this war. Western powers and allies are exhausted. There is only so much financing that could be flooded into Ukraine, and many countries have started to pull back. Germany, as an example, that cannot continue to sustain this consistent aid and financing of this war. There has to be a solution, and I think it's becoming very clear that it is going to be difficult to find a solution on the battlefield. A solution is going to have to come out of some sort of peace talks and a potential treaty. We need a treaty backed with security guarantees. We cannot afford to repeat the Budapest Memorandum. And Prime Minister Modi has certainly risen to the occasion. India is certainly a nation that is one of the most populous nations, has one of the strongest economies in the world, and India is placing its stake at the global table. And Modi is the one that is leading that effort. I think no one was surprised when Prime Minister Modi took a trip to Russia. It was expected. At the end of the day, India recently surpassed China as the largest buyer of Russian oil just last month. And now, what was a surprise to the world is the fact that Prime Minister Modi made a trip to Ukraine. That was truly surprising. And I think it was a pleasant surprise for the world in seeing him as a potentially emerging as a global peacemaker. India really staking its place at the table and now potentially to bring peace. It was very pleasantly surprising for countries to watch Modi make the trip, the first prime minister to make that trip since Ukraine's independence. He said, "I am not neutral in this war." So I really do see that India has a chance to be a peacemaker between these two countries, and they are perfectly positioned to do so.
Well, we see, that Prime Minister Modi having bear hugs with President Putin and so many world leaders. Now, PM Modi going to meet Putin and also to Zelensky. Do you think US, NATO, and the Western world, especially USA, has he rubbed them in any wrong way, or they are going to appreciate it?
I think the U.S. has appreciated it. At the end of the day, the U.S. has not been able to bring a peace deal between the two countries, and that is because the U.S. is seen to be very one-sided. You have countries like France, like the United Kingdom. These are Western powers that are seen to be one-sided. They are not the right advocates to bring peace. Russia are not trusted by Putin and not trusted by Russia. China is trusted by Russia, but China is not trusted by the Ukrainians. India has positioned itself to have severe leverage when it comes to Russia, but at the same time has shown that they will extend a working hand to also work with the Ukrainians and listen to their position and find perhaps a place of negotiation between the two. So I do believe that the West at this point, perhaps early on, might be rubbed the wrong way 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but today, 3 years into this conflict, it is refreshing to see India to stand up and take its place at the table to potentially negotiate peace. And I think that Western powers, especially the United States, realize that they are not equipped to bring this peace right now because they are not trusted by Russia. So the best thing that a country like the United States could do is actually provide support to India in this process because it benefits them in the long run as
Right.
a part of U.S. defense aid is going to Ukraine.
But many think that Prime Minister Modi can bring peace between Russia and Ukraine. What are the reasons behind it that India is in such a position, or Prime Minister Modi is in such a position that he can negotiate a peace deal?
Well, at the end of the day, India and Prime Minister Modi have been supporting part of the backbone of Russia's economy. That gives them an immense amount of leverage when it comes to potentially negotiating peace. India can play the role of an honest broker. On one side of the table, you will have Ukraine, perhaps with the UK or France supporting it. On the other side of the table, you will have Russia with China supporting it, and India could be an honest broker as the go-between. At the end of the day, for peace to be brought to the table, two heads of state, Zelensky and Putin, have to sit down and have a bilateral discussion in a head-to-head environment. And only then can we have the discussion of peace. Envoys will not work. And Modi is certainly qualified because for such a long time, there has been very strong relations between India and Russia. And now there is an opportunity to leverage the fact of these relations and the economic dependence to bring some sort of peace deal. So personally, I would like to see there be a ceasefire. You cannot negotiate peace, with a gun held to your head. So there needs to be a complete ceasefire. This is not just a cessation of soldiers fighting, but also the complete end of firing of long-range missiles, halt of artillery fire, and the cessation of the invasion of all sovereign airspace by all aircrafts, including drones. So this would be a really healthy start to this. And I think that this is what we hope to see in the future come out of a potential going into bilateral talks.
Well, when we see that the world is taking sides, I mean, you'll see that most of the countries they are taking sides between Russia and Ukraine. But at this time, there is Prime Minister Modi who is visiting both places. So, how do you see it when the world is taking sides? There is one person.
I certainly don't believe that the world expected this. I think it came as a pleasant surprise. I think much of the world knew that India was in a good position to play the honest broker between the two countries to try to bring forward a conversation between both heads of state. But I don't think that anybody saw a visit coming like it was a very emotional visit. President Zelensky was visibly emotional during that visit. Modi was visibly emotional during that visit. I don't think the world expected to see that. And I think coming from the land of Gandhi, and you really, really have a prime minister that's rising to the occasion. So I think the world is pleasantly surprised. It also goes to show a different side of Modi. Modi is a fierce fighter for his people. He's always believed in an Indian first type of agenda and putting his people first. And I think this goes exactly to the heart of that issue. And not only does it show to the world that he's willing to rise to the occasion to bring peace, but it goes to show that he consistently continues to fight for his people. At the end of the day, I've highlighted this before, there is a weaker rupee now with this war. This causes issues for Indian businesses. So I do believe that he sees those things and realizes that even for India, for his own people, this war is not benefiting anyone. It sounds like this is a far off war in another part of the world. Why should we care about Europe? Does Europe care about us? But at the end of the day, this war is also affecting India, and it's affecting the world. Africa, could face starvation. Ukraine is a massive grain supplier. So I do believe that this has shown a different side of Modi. It's continued to show that he also continues to support India. He continues to put India first and understands that this is a part of it. The world would be better off for it, but India would also be better off for a peace formula.
Okay, well, my last question, just in case if it is possible that one day he's able to negotiate a peace deal, or he can break a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine.
Would claim a stake at the table that India is already claiming slowly. One, with its sheer population size, two, with its sheer economic size, but three, he would secure a legacy for years to come, one that your and my children would be reading about one day in the history books. It would be a proud history to continue an incredible legacy for India and its people, but also for the world. And I personally believe that it would be incredible to see a country, on the Asian side of the world playing such an active role in bringing peace to the European continent. I think oftentimes leaders in Europe disregard this Asian side of the world. They disregard and don't pay attention to what happens on the Asian side of the world. And that is a massive mistake. So it can certainly and will certainly really put India's stake when it comes to a global footprint. It will leave an incredible legacy from Prime Minister Modi, an immense pride for India in the future and for future generations to come. So I certainly see that it will leave an incredible, incredible legacy.
Well, we really hope there would be peace in the world, and these two big wars that are going on, that will come to an end. And thank you so much for your time. This was Valada Galan, who gave us all the insights about the recent visit of Prime Minister Modi to Russia and to Ukraine. And of course, it is peace that we all want. This is Nagin Singh for One India.